my fellow viewers and subscribers to the Superchocolatemilkshake, and I am here with, well, I just wanted to talk about Disney for a little bit, and personally, I just want to say this. Disney is a company that I do dearly love. They made so many beloved classic movies. Movies like Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast. The original, by the way. The original versions of these movies, by the way. The Lion King. And then, of course, we also have Snow White, Dumbo, Pinocchio. And then, of course, we also have Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, and, you know, movies like that, basically. And you know what? I'll even include some of their more dark era movies, too, like The Black Cauldron, Oliver and Company, or The Great Mouse Detective, you know? Like, there are so many movies from the Disney Pantheon that has touched so many lives, that has affected so many people. And, you know, people love Disney, you know? But, you know, coming from a place of love rather than hate, I am upset to see that Moana 2 made as much money as it did and broke records like it did. Especially considering the fact that I've heard from multiple different sources that it's mediocre. I didn't bother to go see this movie because, you know what? Disney is not going to need my money anyway. It's not going to matter much. Because, you know what? I've heard that it was mediocre from a lot of bunch of people, and I figured it was going to be the moment I heard that it was going to be a scrap TV series and it was turned into a movie, sewing all the plot points of this TV series all together. I knew it was going to be pretty much a train wreck from the very beginning anyway. Like, I didn't have high hopes for it at all. I didn't even give Disney any full attention with this. And, sure, I may be paying attention to Disney every once in a while, but I'm not doing it as often as I used to. I'm not bothering to stop and watch any trailers from Disney. I'm not really bothering to stop and watch any trailers from Pixar or Lucasfilm or, heck, even Marvel anymore, because everything from Disney hasn't thrilled me of recent. Like, I'm kind of missing the chills and the tingles down my spine with, like, Frozen, or, like, Wreck-It Ralph, or, like, Tangled, you know? Movies like that. Or, heck, even, like, movies where I could go back and watch it over and over and over again. And movies that I know by heart. Like Aladdin. The original Aladdin, not the live-action remake. I mean, like, honestly, granted, I don't have a problem with Will Smith being the genie, but, you know, he should have been his own genie rather than trying to mimic Robin Williams. Like, I think that kind of brought disgrace upon Robin Williams' name, if you ask me. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Truth be told, I am upset with the fact that Moana has broke most of these box office records, and honestly, may continue to be one of Disney's most profitable movies. Like, unfortunately, after hearing how mediocre it is and how many mixed reviews it's got, not just from critics but from the audience as well, like, I am concerned. Because you know what? Disney is never going to listen to the critics. They're never going to listen to the audience as long as they're making money. Because if they're making money, then that's all they care about. So basically, when it comes down to it, yes, they're going to get away with overworking and underpaying their workers. They're going to get away with doing things like making big budget blockbusters, but then firing most of the crew so that they don't have to pay off their compensation checks. You know? Like, stuff like that. And honestly, I think that's absolutely disgusting. Like, beyond belief. That should be, like, undefensible. Period. Like, I mean, hell, I know a lot of people give criticism to, what was his name? He used to run Pixar, but, you know, I mean, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't allow Disney to get away with this kind of stuff, though, either. Oh, John Lasseter, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know, he's a disgusting man. He doesn't deserve any defense. But, you know, in this case, he at least would protect his employees from being fired frivolously, you know? Like, at least he would step in the way for that. And he would still allow Pixar to tell really good, compelling stories, instead of trying to fall for the Disney stuff where they're just producing more sequels, like The Incredibles 3. Why do we need an Incredibles 3? The Incredibles 2 wasn't really all that good. Like, holy cow, I'm actually kind of surprised that I was hyped for the right sequel on that one. Actually, if I had to say anything, I was more excited for Cars 3 than I was The Incredibles 2. Of course, I wanted to see The Incredibles 2, but I was more excited to see Cars 3. And to tell you the truth, I was happy that Cars 3 was the better movie over The Incredibles 2. Like, people still are picking apart The Incredibles 2 even to today. Like, if that doesn't say anything about the state of Pixar right now, I don't know what to... Well, I mean, it seems like after 2017, both Disney, Pixar, Marvel, and even Lucasfilm have all kind of went careening off of a cliff. Of course, some slower than others, because Marvel took its time trying to get to the bottom of that. Disney just kind of sank down and got lower and lower, hit a new high with Encanto, and then all of a sudden lost their footing and went down below again. And Star Wars, well, I don't think we talk about Star Wars here. Let's not talk about the mess that's Star Wars right now. Like, the only really good thing that came out of it was Endor. And even then, that feels like a fluke, kind of like Encanto does. It felt like an accident, something that shouldn't have happened in the first place. And you know what? That's not right by any means. Like, if you could write it off as an accident, then yeah, you already know that there's something wrong here. That they're doing something completely and totally... No, that's not right at all. Like, it should be like, okay, yeah, we had maybe one or two bad movies, but there's still some good movies and still some enjoyable things. Like, that's what it should feel like, but instead, no. We got movies that are kind of disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. Because a lot of people are disappointed with Moana 2 right now. Like, you can see it all over the internet. People aren't really necessarily going like, this is not the sequel that they hyped it up to be. This feels like one of those, TV shows that they turned into movies and then they just brought it over to the big screen because why the heck not? Despite the fact that, honestly, it probably would have worked out better as a TV show, actually, to tell you the truth. I would have loved to see a Moana TV series where she's exploring the vast, wide openness of the ocean and exploring the world and finding new people, new cultures, new ideas, new demigods, new gods, new all kinds of stuff around the world. Things that would expand the world of Moana even further. It would work out perfectly as a TV series. But no, they instead decided to string most of what they got together and make it into a movie. Despite the fact that this movie also feels pretty unfinished too. Especially with the fact that they wanted an Avengers-level mid-credit scene like the Avengers. Which is kind of dumb, you know, because this is Moana, not the Avengers. In fact, when it comes down to it, Moana didn't deserve a sequel. I'd say, yes, a TV series would have worked out better. It's kind of like Raya and the Last Dragon, you know? That movie probably would have been better out as a TV series than it was a movie, because you don't really necessarily get to spend too much time with these characters, and the message of trust gets so hammered in that you're tired of it by the end of the movie. Like, again, that's something I will have to say. And the live-action department isn't doing any better either, because you know what? I don't think I can name an original movie that came out within the past at least 3 years. If I had to say 10, that wouldn't necessarily be true, because I know there's Christopher Robin, which, by the way, I know a lot of people are probably going like, that's original, so it doesn't really necessarily clarify as a remake. So, yeah, but there's some people out there going like, oh no, it might be a remake of Winnie the Pooh, but it isn't. It is an original story, and honestly, a very well-told story, too. Actually, I recommend watching that one. Though, it's not... It's only good up until the third act. The third act is like just boring hogwash that honestly didn't deserve to exist whatsoever, you know? But, again, like, I can't really necessarily recommend a live-action movie for anybody to watch from the past couple of years. I mean, heck, even The Haunted Mansion, as much as I would like to say that it's better than the Eddie Murphy one, is just boring, forgettable stuff that they have made that... Unfortunately, I can't remember a single plot detail that really happens inside this movie. All I remember was the Hatbox Ghost, but that's because he had a fairly good design. But then again, he also has a fairly good design in the ride. So what does it matter to me? Ugh. Oh yeah, and the fact that Danny DeVito's in it, but even then, that's probably the only things I ever remember about it. Like, I can't tell you what a single plot detail is. Like... I'm upset with this. Like, Disney deserves to fail at this point. And honestly, the fact that Moana succeeded kind of makes me mad. And I know that there's going to be some people out there who are going to try and defend Disney. Look, defending Disney is just not going to work, okay? Because you know what? With the fact that Moana has made this much money within the opening weekend, which, by the way, is probably the highest grossing part of a movie's lifetime in theaters, like, honestly... It's really sending a message to Disney saying that we're okay with mediocre. We're okay with just okay or passable. when really we shouldn't be. We should be voting with our wallets. We should be standing up and saying no and denying Disney our money, because that's all they want in the end, is your money. They don't want anything else. They just want what's in your pocket in theirs. And that's exactly the point. Again, you guys are... If you're going to shill it, fine. You can shill it as much as you want. Go right ahead. Do it in the comments to me, okay? I openly invite you to do it, okay? But I am still going to stand up and defend for myself. I'm still going to say that Disney needs to be knocked down a peg. So you know what? There is something that's been going around called Mufasa versus Sonic 3. Which, by the way, no, I don't think it should be like Barbenheimer, where they were rooting for both movies to succeed. I think we should be rooting for Sonic 3 to succeed and Mufasa to fail. Why? Because you know what? Sonic 3 looks to be more of an invigorating, exciting, and wonderfully well-crafted and detailed movie than Mufasa would be. Because you know what? I'm going to call it right now. I am going to actively call it 100%. Mufasa is going to be a retread of the original Lion King, except for in the fact that the betrayal is going to happen at the end of the movie rather than the beginning, and the outsider part happens at the beginning of the movie rather than at the end. And I also have a funny feeling that it's also going to be kind of like Transformers 1, where both sides are going to be fighting, they're going to have their point, but then, of course, actually, no, they're just going to make it so that Scar instantly turns evil because he wants to be king, period, end of story. This is what I've hoped for, this is what I've dreamed about, and this is what I've always wanted, more than I wanted a brother. You know? He's just going to turn around and betray Mufasa anyway. We all know that. Like, oh, come on. I'm pretty sure they're not even going to do it with the same amount of nuance that Transformers 1 did, which, by the way, is a good movie. You should go see it. Seriously. I know it failed in the box office, but you know what? Let's try to turn it around outside, okay? Let's try to make Hasbro a little more interested in producing more Transformers movies, because, to tell you the truth, Transformers 1, I mean, even people who don't like Transformers love Transformers 1, which already says something. Like, holy cow, it's kind of crazy to see some of these critics step out and go like, yeah, I hate Transformers, but this movie was good. Like, seriously, just go and see it, okay? It is a really phenomenal movie from start to finish, and honestly, it says what it needs to say, and says it in a way that is very interesting and new and unique, and brings a bit of a light to... or, well, a different light in between the rivalry in between Optimus Prime and Megatron. Seriously. Go and watch it. Seriously. It's the best way I can describe it without spoiling anything to you. But anyway, I'm going to get back on to point about Disney. And again, like I said, I feel like it's going to be a retread of Transformers 1 that's just not very interesting. That we all can see coming, and it's all going to happen anyway. Like, why does Mufasa need a backstory, considering that most of his story is also said in the original Lion King? Both animated and live action, actually, since the live action usually muses a lot of the dialogue that the original also had, too. Where both Scar and Mufasa got into a fight, and Mufasa won because he had the strength, despite the fact that Scar was very cunning. You know? Like, come on! What more backstory do you need? What more do you really need? None! Like, it's ridiculous. So again, save your money on Mufasa. And you know what? I'm even going to put out a recall to anybody who wants to view Mufasa for a review, okay? Anybody who wants to review Mufasa, don't, okay? Boycott it. Just avoid it. I mean, not unless you're getting... not unless you're doing it for free, which then, of course, in that case, do it, because that's going to cost Disney more money. But you know what? Don't bother watching Mufasa at all, even if you're going to just simply review it, okay? Even if it's your job to review it, don't do it, okay? Just tell everybody to go watch Sonic 3 instead. Because you know what? We want Sonic 3 to win. We want it to succeed. We want it to do right. Because you know what? This is what we need to do. We need to vote with our wallets. I'm pretty sure if you clicked on this video and you watched it up to this point, you're tired of the schlock that Disney has been giving out, like I am. Like, you want the original Disney to come back. The Disney that used to make stories that were captivating, wonderful, had tales beyond your imagination, stretched beyond your imagination, went to places that you could never fathom to go to, but you always wanted to be there, you know? Tell things that made us reflect upon our lives and reflect upon ourselves, and not just in a way that, oh yeah, you don't need to do this because of this. No, in a way that makes us think. Because you know what? That's the thing. That's the difference between propaganda and art. Propaganda tells you what to think. Art tells us how to think. And that's the thing. Like I said, again, you know, all art is political inherently. But you know what? Again, good art tells us how to think politically and not what to think politically. Okay? And that's the thing. Like, I really wish Disney would understand that, you know? I wish Disney would actually push and strive for that kind of change. But they're not. And that's what I'm finding disappointing. So again, like I said, thank you for sticking around in my video. Thank you for sticking all the way down to the end if you could, with it before you paused it and started trying to defend Disney down below in the comments, because I know there's going to be those Disney defenders down below inside the comments. But as much as I want to say that, yes, I am still disappointed with Disney, I still think that there is hope that they can turn it around and do something wonderful. Because you know what? They've done it before. They have done it before with, like, after the Disney Dark Age, they decided to turn it around. They made Oliver and Company, which was an okay movie, but then The Little Mermaid blew everything out of the water. Well, metaphorically and seriously. And then, of course, they decided to turn it around again once they hit another dark area, and turned it around with a movie called Bolt, which I think a lot of people consider that as part of the Disney Renaissance, though really I don't think it got kick-started until Tangled came around, which was also another really good movie. Like, people miss those days. And you know what? I'm pretty sure you may agree with me too at this point of this video. So again, I'm not ending on a sour note. I'm just saying we need to send a message to Disney, because at this point, they're not going to get any messages as long as they're going to make money. So, of course, please, go see Sonic 3. Your money may be better off spent over there, okay? In fact, when it comes down to it, I'm going to be paying for tickets personally for my sisters and me to go see it. And you know what? If my mom and dad want to go see it too with me, then you know what? I will be more than happy to welcome them too, and pay for their tickets as well. Like, I know I'm going to drive myself broke for it, but it's like, come on! Like, I really want this movie to succeed too! So anyway, let me know what you think down below inside the comments. And hey, if you're new here and you like this video, please be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and comment down below. Oh, and I already said comment down below. So anyway, I'll see you all in the next video. Man, oh man, I'm forgetting how to do my outros again. How come I rehearsed this? I rehearsed this a lot behind the scenes, okay? And tell you the truth, I don't mess up on this. Here, I mess up. I don't know why, but anyway. This is Superchocolatemilkshake, signing off.